Hey, Tay.
Hey, Sketch. Can you think of an anime comeback moment that you liked where the hero is giving up, but at the last moment, his friends come in or his family to give him that extra push, that extra amount of courage for them to get back up and fight?
Let's see. I think the one that pops into my mind is probably Code Geass when C2 leaves Lelouch. This moment leaves Lelouch basically emotionally broken up until Colin, more or less almost breaking down herself because she's never seen Lelouch this, brings back Lelouch and encourages him to keep going forward with all of his plans. And you?
I'm not gonna lie, that was pretty boring. No dramatic scene, no fight afterwards. My favorite is Naruto versus Pain. Pain gets Naruto in the Chibukai Tensei locked up. Naruto's letting the nine-tailed beast take over him and letting go, giving up, and then he finally gets to see his parents for the first time. He gets to meet his mom, his dad. They talk to him with the residual energy that they left over, and this gives him the extra courage to come back as a sage and fight Pain hand to hand, find him in the woods, and he'd be the hero of the village, be the Naruto that we wanted from episode 1.
If he ever just wanted to see his dad, he probably could just look up at the mountain with all the faces carved into it.
He could have. Speaking of mountain and faces to look up at it, if you want to keep looking at us every once in a while, at least hearing us, hit that subscribe button. Another question for you. What is your favorite moment in the episode that we just watched of JJK, part 3 of Good and Bad?
Oh boy.
Oh no, it's part 3 of Right and Wrong.
Oh, right. No, it's Right and Wrong part 3. Because this has been going on for a very long time. Probably when Yuji finally finds his resolve after Todo came by to help him against Mahito. Because Yuji just broke down after what happened to Nobara. He's given, I was just like, the more people I try to save, the more people I just kill.
You mean the scene where Toto's clapping and switching places and keeping Yuji safe, himself safe, and Nita safe? That was a pretty dope scene. Mine's has to be the Kentucky kick. Because Todo was coming in there after he switched places with that cursed energy rock, flying in there, colors springing around him. He was really doing a Kentucky kick, or a Detroit smash, if you may. That was my favorite moment in the episode.
What would Todo's hero name be? Might Todo or what?
All for Todo?
All for Todo? Anyway, so how did this episode make you feel?
This episode gave me a lot of mixed emotions. So the first emotion that I felt was sadness. I feel for Yuji, and then I was like, and then it made me feel disgust when Mahito came in and started wailing on Yuji and giving his bad guy speech. But then when you see Todo, it just becomes the Todo show, and you always feel great when he's around. He is one of those characters in this show that when you see him, you feel like nothing can go wrong.
Oh man, Todo's always makes everything better.
What about you? Did you have any unique feelings?
Oh man, you know what? I was kind of pretty sad during this episode because Nobara got her face blown up. And then we get cut back to like, a little moment between Megami, Nobara, and Yuji about this shirt, and it's just like, oh, that's a really cute scene. And then we get to see Yuji through the hole in Nobara's face. But then, you know what? There's a little bit of a hope spot, which we'll get to later.
So, speaking of this story, it takes place in still the subway station. How do you think this has impacted these last couple of episodes?
Oh man, so everyone's just been cut, or Yuji's been cut off from everyone else for a little while. It's just been him alone in these subway stations, just fight after fight after fight after fight.
It reminds me of when, and this season has done it multiple times, where they take advantage of the setting in so many ways. It reminds me of the Naruto and Sasuke fight, the first one when they're kids.
Oh, on the, what was it called? The Falls of Destiny or something like that?
Yeah. Something like that, where they're taking advantage, but they were in a very open area and they only took advantage of the scenery a couple of times. Here, we're taking advantage of the fact that subways have elevators, that subways have bathrooms, that subways bathrooms have fire hydrants, that
there are multiple levels to the subway.
And that you can destroy it. Mahito in the episode takes advantage of the rails and creates his own train.
It even went choo-choo. It was a real bizarre moment.
But the setting really did a great job at creating this unique story or unique fight that you wouldn't see anywhere else.
It was a pretty cool scene. Anyway, so which character was the highlight for you in this episode?
the highlight for both of us is obvious. It's Todo. This
Todo.
was the Todo episode with his Kentucky smash. He kick.
Big brother Todo to the rescue.
Best friendo.
Todo really was the person that Yuji needed in the moment, because, oh boy.
It was just, there was nobody else that would have filled that gap in a similar way. Now this brings us to that hopeful moment. Nita comes and says he stopped the bleeding on Yuji and on Nobara, and that there's a chance that she will be saved. So, what are your thoughts? Do you think she's going to be saved?
So I'm going to fall back on Chekhov's gun and say she probably will be saved, or else they probably wouldn't mention it. He does mention that her breathing has stopped though, but we don't know the limits of his power, so how far back can he heal someone or regenerate their wounds, I guess?
It just seems like he just stops them where they're at, but doesn't
fully recovers them.
Alright, I also want to point out the flashback was never from Nobara's perspective.
Oh, it was from Yuji's, wasn't it?
No, it was from Yumi's.
Yumi's? Oh.
I meant Nobara's flashback, right? We never got a Nobara flashback. That's my hint at I think she's alive, but he could have just said it to get Yuji's spirits up.
Maybe. He probably could have used the uplift. Anyway, so after this whole little hope spot, we get a couple of blows, and Mahito does something interesting while Yuji's still a little bit out of it. He uses Black Flash. Now, so far we've only seen Jujutsu sorcerers use Black Flash. We haven't seen a curse spirit use Black Flash. So, Tay, what other, do you think curses can learn other curse techniques?
It'd be really interesting, right? Can they learn simple domain? Can they learn other basic techniques that everyone else knows? We've actually seen them use we haven't seen them use other techniques. We've seen them use other people to use techniques, like creating barriers. We've only seen the humans that they employed use barriers, or we've seen Kenjaku, who's in Geto's body, use barriers. But we've never seen the curses themselves use barriers either.
Oh, right. I didn't even think about that. Was it ever stated that curses couldn't erect their own barriers?
No, but they can use Black Flash. I'm pretty sure that they have any arsenal of using curse techniques. I think the only difference is that curses are born by themselves, just like humans are born in a society and you get the advantage of being taught. They got a whole school. Jujutsu Kaisen is a school.
Yeah, and I didn't even think about that.
But right now, I would say yes. There's nothing to the contrary to it. Speaking of curse techniques, Todo, Mahito, one of the most cunning and one of the most smartest characters. Who do you think, given their apparent limitations to their abilities, is more creative, right? Because Todo can only teleport in between people, and Mahito, we don't know what extent he has currently. But who do you think is the more creative of the two?
Oh boy, so we've seen Mahito do a lot of really crazy things with his powers. He can split himself, he can turn people into weapons, he turns someone into a train, an actual train that went choo-choo with multiple cars in it. I don't even know how he managed to pull that off. So Mahito doesn't really have we don't really know what is the limit of Mahito's powers. That being said, we do have a very defined limit on what Todo's powers are. Even with those defined limits, Todo can do some absolutely insane things with his powers.
So the question is, who do you think is more creative?
You know what? I'm actually going to give it to Todo.
Right? Because he takes into account velocity, momentum. He has spatial awareness like none other. I was going to say Todo myself, especially after that rock throw that led to his Black Flash. His Kentucky kick. Definitely would give it to Todo, because Mahito just seems to have a more variety, a more larger skill set. You know what I mean? Where Todo, despite only having the ability to do one thing, can do that one thing in so many different ways.
So Todo's very simple, but his powers go very deep, while Mahito's powers are very complex, but he's very shallow in how he uses them.
I wouldn't say he's shallow, but I would say Todo literally can do the clap and nothing happen, and it'd be amazing, whereas I don't think Mahito can not assemble something and it'd be amazing, or there's no anti-Mahito ability. But the clone ability is like, okay, that's crazy, right? How many clones can you dodge if you're Todo, right? And this gives me the other question. Because this is the first time we've seen on-screen Todo and Mahito use Black Flash. What does 100% Todo and Mahito look like?
Oh boy, at the end of the scene we say like, these three have reached 120%. So what does 120% look like for Todo and Mahito? Will Todo use a domain? Will his curse technique get stronger? What's even Mahito's 120%? Is it not his curse domain?
Well, the way Black Flash is stated to work is you have now an innate sense of how cursed energy works, and that all your powers are amped up, right? So what gets amped up for Todo on his teleportation technique?
Is it only his teleportation technique, or is it his...
He also curse output.
Yeah, or is it just his curse output as well? Because Todo isn't just teleportation. Todo is also a sort of martial artist type fighter. It isn't like, oh,
He's a brawler.
he's a brawler. He'll teleport and beat the everlasting hell out of you in the process.
But again, does he get anything unique, or does he just hit harder, hit faster, and can use his ability quicker?
And at the moment, I'm currently just leaning that he just gets a simple power boost.
Because the way Mahito's talking about it, he's saying one more Black Flash, and he'll unlock the essence of what it means to be himself.
To unlock the pure essence of his own soul.
So it seems like he's gonna have some amazing power. Maybe he'll have his domain expansion even more powerful. He's the only one of the three that we've seen use a domain expansion.
Do you think that's how this fight will end?
I don't know, but it could. I'm definitely, if he doesn't use it, I'd be very surprised. There would be no reason for him not to use it.
So, and how do you think they'll try to counter that domain? With Yuji's own, or just punch their way out of it?
He might just have the Yuji Sukuna mix-up, where if Sukuna already told him, if you come into my presence, I'll kill you, because Sukuna doesn't like his soul being messed with. So that's the only reason I can think of Mahito not using his domain on Yuji.
But Todo?
But there's nothing against him not using it on Todo. I think the fight will end with Mahito finding a way to get a one-on-one chance with Todo.
Can Todo teleport out of a domain?
I don't see what would stop him. But then again, if you're in a domain, can you sense curse energy outside the barrier?
Oh man, that's a pretty good question.
Right? Because when Jogo was inside Gojo's barrier domain, Unlimited Void, he was ever flowing with all the knowledge of the world and he couldn't do anything in it.
Is that that's sort of the gist of Infinite Domain.
So speaking of Gojo, what do you think Kenjaku went with the Prison Realm?
Oh boy, so we find the crater where the stupid box was and he's gone. So Kenjaku...
What's his next plan? What is his goal now?
So the last we saw Kenjaku, he was squaring up against Mei Mei in the subway tunnel, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So he would either have to fight Mei Mei out, or maybe bribe her somehow?
Honestly speaking, he took one of his special great curses and almost took them out. Geto could have millions of them. I don't think Mei Mei stands a chance.
So you think she's running?
I don't know what she's doing, but the question is, where does Kenjaku go after this?
Because he essentially lost, what, 4 of his best allies? Or almost all of his allies. Who's left?
Were they really his allies?
People he was working with. Is that a better...
That's a better answer. I'll be honest, I don't know what his plans are, but it seems like Kenjaku is thinking something sinister now that Gojo's out of the way. World domination seems like a typical villain answer.
Look, he completed his primary objective, which was sealing away Gojo and fleeing. But at the same time, he did take a blow in losing all of the natural disaster curse spirits.
Well, thanks for listening to us. I hope you guys have a good day.
Laters.